Hello, everybody, and welcome to the OLE TNA Hard To Kill post-show reactions, all that fun. I am Bobby Munson, and right there is the natural Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, how are you doing this evening?
I'm feeling a lot better today. I can talk, and then this pay-per-view was amazing. So I'm glad that we're talking about it tonight. It's great beginning to TNA.
Yeah, well, I mean, this was a great recommendation. Glad that there was an opportunity to sit down, watch this one, and to be able to bring this wonderful review as well too. Glad to be sharing the screen with you here tonight as we talk some TNA wrestling. So let's get right down into this. I missed everything at the beginning because apparently the opening three matches, the pre-show was only for the I think it's TNA Plus subscribers or something like that. So fortunately didn't get to see those other than the recap that they did during the event itself. So did you see them at all or know much about them? Anything to add on the openers?
Yeah, well, to give everybody just overall results, these two I missed. So we had Rich Swann versus Steve Maclin. Maclin won that match, and then we had Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, who are alongside Moose, calling themselves. It was I forgot the name. The System. So all three of them are, and well, Alisha Edwards are called the System. So we had them going against the originals, being EY, Eric Young, and Frankie Kazarian. So we had the System win. So it was Eddie Edwards and Brian with the win. The only match I was able to see at that moment, once I figured out what was happening, was Tommy Dreamer versus Crazy Steve. It was a no DQ match for the Digital Media Championship. It was a lot of fork spots. It's basically the best way I can describe this match. It was something that we were already thinking about based on what Crazy Steve has been doing to Tommy Dreamer as it was. Um, but yeah, it was just like one of the parts that I really enjoyed was that the power slam that Tommy Dreamer did to Crazy Steve on the chair. And he literally just tied Dreamer's hands with tape and just put all forks on him and just did a cannonball onto him while the forks were inside of Dreamer's shirt. I'll give you that visual for later, to put it like that. But as I was hoping it would go, Crazy Steve won the championship. So now Crazy Steve's a digital media champion. It's not alongside to Tommy Dreamer, who probably just has a flip from at this point. So I'm glad there's in better hands of Crazy Steve at this point now. So that was all that they have for the countdown. I'm hoping later on I can watch the other two matches. I really wanted to watch them. It was a hot mess when it came to figuring out what the countdown was, where it was airing. I was just going crazy, but I'm glad I was able to watch that one. But the opener match for us was the Ultimate X for the knockouts. So it was Tasha Steelz versus Gisele Shaw versus Zaya Brookside versus Jody Threat versus Alisha Edwards versus Dani Luna. And to put it, I don't want to say breaking news, but they officially signed Zaya Brookside to be a TNA knockout tonight. Yep. So that's official tonight. So congratulations to Zaya Brookside on getting signed now too.
Yeah, and what a way to kick the show off, because this was high energy, a lot of great spots here, a lot of really good spots here. In fact, I was saying to you in the chat there that getting choked out on my words here today. Jody Threat actually had some wonderful moments, and as you mentioned, Dani Luna as well too, did great work in this. Love when Jody Threat did the double backdrop there to the two women during this matchup, or even there was the spot too with climbing the side barrier with someone on her back as well. I thought all of that was great. Yes. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Just awesome. Like, everybody in this did a great job. And of course, I'm so happy for Gisele Shaw, because again, Gisele Shaw over from our neck of the woods here in Western Canada, somebody who I got to see a couple of matches of it as I was starting to get into the business locally here. So very happy for Gisele, but everybody here came out looking like $1 million in this one. Fantastic opener. In fact, one of the best matches on the card tonight.
It really was. And it just reminded me a lot of NXT in this sort of part that when you have a multi-person match, I don't like those moments when you have just one person in and they don't even know what they're doing. No, we had multiple times that we had 2-3 of the knockouts and in the ring at the same time. I love that part though. Zaya she did a dive onto Dani Luna and Gisele, and then Jody followed suit and did it on top of them as well. And I love how that looked there too. And one of my favorite moments, though, was I think it was Gisele used Dani to catapult herself to spear Jody off of the X and use that moment to win the match, and that was just amazing visually to see. I loved it. And yeah, these girls, I feel like they all had a moment in the match to highlight themselves. And I really enjoyed that more than anything. I feel like they all did great. There was a moment that I felt like more for the newcomers. So we had Zaya there with Dani, Luna, and it was just nice to see that like the newer girls together at the same time, and then we had the kind of like veterans have their spots later on. So I like having that type of feel to it. And to me, my MVP of this match was Dani. Dani did so great. She was able to show off with each one of them somehow, and she looked incredible. Like such a power showcasing for her tonight. I just enjoyed her so much. She's definitely one of my favorites. Like just thinking overall the Knockouts division right now, but I feel like this was a great way to begin the show. And just like I predicted during Jose's show, Gisele wins. So now Gisele has that X. So let's see who she's going to cash in. Is it going to be Jordynne or is it going to be somebody else by the time it happens? We'll see.
We'll find out for sure. Let's go to the chat here just for a moment and go back to Ed. Hello, Ed. Thanks for joining in. And, of course, Brian Carter, who joins me in our love for MLW typically, but joins me in our sentiment that we're a lot happier with our TNA experience than our last experience with MLW last Saturday. But Brian's first TNA experience, so awesome. Glad you enjoyed it, Brian. It was a great card tonight, and we'll get to some of those other moments here. But what an opener. I'm very, very happy with how this paid off. Again, like I said, very happy for Gisele. I'm looking forward to seeing who she will get to take on next. Coming up next, a couple of names that people might know of. We had Dirty Dango taking on PCO. PCO, former member of the Quebecers tag team from back in the day. So this guy, he's like the guy that'll never die. Like, he's been around for longer than most of us have ever, but way longer than most of us have ever been alive. And he's still kicking. And I honestly thought when this first started, I'm like, well, that was kind of a mess and happened quickly. And okay, because right away, within 2-3 minutes, we have a DQ finish that comes out of this thing. PCO wins by disqualification. But now all of a sudden, we have what this whole thing and even what the aftermath was made for. And that was the moments of returns, special entrance moments. This was a moments match more than it was a wrestling match. So we had Rhyno come back. Santino Marella comes out. He declares a tag match. And we got Rhyno and PCO taking on Dirty Dango and friends, but they need a partner. So we bring out the most generic wrestling video game character in the history of professional wrestling, Jake something. He's even got the default wrestling name, I believe. You know why? I don't know. I don't get Jake something personally. I honestly like with all the teases for a big signing here tonight, and Jake something comes on, people got to be thinking like they've been just tossed to the side in terms of what their knowledge of big signings mean. But we could change that around later in this card. This not necessarily my cup of tea, but it did a good job breaking up some of the other stuff here, even when it got to the triple threat, or sorry, the 3v3 matchup. The guys got to do some of their crazy insano type things. They got their spots in. The crowd was still high energy for this one as well too, so it served its purpose. Probably one of my least favorite things of the entire card, but I didn't hate it either.
Yeah, my favorite part was like I really thought Santino was gonna be the third man, and he's gonna like take everything off that he had on him to go inside and run in. And I like how he just like I said it in our chat. I was like, he just went in and had his Tilly Long powers, and he's like, "We're gonna make this a tag team match." And I was like, "Okay, who's the third guy? You?" I thought I was waiting for that answer, but no, I thought it was fun. I was just like, when it ended so quickly, I was like, what the heck is happening? Why are you doing this? This doesn't usually happen here like this. But it still was just a fun way to bring Rhyno back and bring Jake something into the fold as well. I think it's just a way of like trying to use as many people as they could for the night being the first pay-per-view. But overall, I think it was just a fun match to begin with. And I feel like it continued on the energy that we had from the previous match.
You bet. Brian said this match was his least favorite too, and made him think that he was in a little bit of trouble coming into this evening of professional wrestling. But yeah, really, Brian, we were treated to some real gems after this one, so we got that out of the way. And now let's move on to what I felt was another solid match. In fact, every single one of the knockouts matches knocked it out of the park here tonight. The TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championship match that was not announced, from my understanding. This was a surprise match. This is a good surprise match, by the way. If you're going to give a surprise, here's how you give a surprise on a card. You've got the Knockouts Tag Team Champions MK Ultra, that's Master Slamovich and Killer Kelly, taking on Decay comes back. Rosemary and Havoc in the ring. This is awesome. Remember both these two, excellent teamwork. The one spot I can mention that I thought was really cool there was the one where Rosemary does that sit up that she does and everything. The sequence between the two in that particular spot was just beauty. What a great surprise matchup to this card. Had this been put on the card, it would have only just bolstered what was already a solid looking booked card.
Yeah, and what I liked about it is like I feel like tonight only the main event was the only like downfall for me energy wise, but I feel like from beginning to almost that main event spot, like until the knockouts match, everything kept the energy up from what it was going. And I feel like this match, even though it was not announced, like you said, it was just something that happened here. I thought they were just gonna have like a promo calling out somebody. I was not expecting a match to begin with, but still, it was like it's nice to see DK back. I feel like this is the best way to have them be on screen right now. I really enjoy him more as DK more than anything. So I think I was hoping for an Ally to be here somewhere because we know that she left AEW. We haven't really seen her anywhere else. I was hoping she would return with them there. I think that would have been interesting. And like anybody can come back to life in TNA nowadays. So you can do that again. Why not? You did it with EY. So I was expecting more of that return there of being one of the signings. Like I was expecting that to happen. But either way, I love the entrance from Decay. That like the crowd really enjoyed it from the beginning when like seeing that surprise there too. And this is such a hard hitting match. The back and forth they have between both teams, both of them breaking each other's spins so often. I didn't know who was gonna win at that point, but the only thing that I know that recently, especially from what I've seen, is just TNA doesn't have a lot of tag teams. I feel like there's something they really need to build up in right now this year. So that's why them beating them, it didn't really surprise me at the end because they really don't have a lot of teams to like begin with that's to go against them. But still, it brings something new now as MK Ultra will be the ones now chasing for the championship most likely, but still a fun overall match.
Yeah, great matchup. Want to say I haven't like I've seen all of these for obviously more Rosemary and Havoc than anything, but I was very impressed with Masa Slamovich, especially in this one. I thought Masa Slamovich really stood out in this one. Very, very excellent career ahead. Bobby saying it's great to have Brookside in the TNA Knockouts division. It certainly is, Bobby. Thank you for coming in, by the way, too. And Brian saying, is TNA popular in Canada because they made a big deal about the French commentary? Yes, because really a lot of TNA for a while was stationed here in Canada out in the east side of it. So while Anthem was kind of in that rebuild stage, that was where they were stationed. Plus, they have a lot of Canadian talent there at TNA as well, too. So it's kind of like it's a bit of a Canada stronghold, that one. And Mel, how are you doing, Mel? Thank you for joining us here tonight. I know Mel's busy with Andre there watching some New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm sure that one will be going till fairly late as those cards tend to be very jam-packed with greatness. Brian, but I find the commentary on Prairie Pro Wrestling to be superior. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I'm sure it's because you love the angelic voice of Papa Smokes. But back on track, another great knockouts matchup. The announcement came about from Scott D'Amore, brought out the president of AAA Wrestling there to create an agreement or a working relationship between TNA and AAA, which led into the X Division matchup where El Hijo del Vikingo, Kushida, and Chris Sabin battled it out for the X Division championship. And normally I'm not a big fan of triple threat matchups because tends to be a lot of two guys battling, one on the floor for an insane amount of time. This one, if you're going to do it right like this, where these guys, it was a lot of back and forth with the guys still in the ring. If they were out for any extended period of time, there was solid reasoning for them to be out for a short extended period of time. So this pieced together very beautifully. Vikingo is a marvel. Flippy stuff is interesting when it can be unique. And with Vikingo, it's unique. It's very unique with him. He does stuff I haven't seen before and that I don't think is human. I swear he must have, if you remember the movie Flubber, I think he has Flubber on his boots because nobody can spin and jump like that without the use of Flubber. I'm sure of it, but excellent. This, as far as a triple threat goes in an X Division matchup, this was good. I really liked it. High energy. Crowd was into it. A+. It was good.
Yeah, I think the only downfall that I have with El Hijo del Vikingo so far is that I feel like sometimes with certain moves, it takes him a little bit too long to set them up. You see, I seen him do that in AEW as well. So that's the only thing that's been like a little bit off for me. The moment like there was a moment that he did a move, I think it was to Kushida and towards the ropes, and the way he like took a moment, like he stood on the like the top rope, and he waited a moment and then he flipped it and do it. That's when it was like, when you slow me down is when you kind of get me off of it a little bit. That's the only thing that bothers me about it, but it feels like he's so superhuman because he does everything so quickly at the same time when he does it. And it's like, how does he do it? I need to know, but I'm never gonna know the secret. But no, I love the way he did so many things here. There was a point that he had no, it was Kushida having a submission on him, and then Sabin had a submission on Kushida. So every time Sabin did anything to Kushida, it would definitely hurt El Hijo de Vikingo with his feet. And he was like screaming so bad as it was happening there too. I know he did an incredible moonsault as well, the springboard 450 that he did as well, and obviously the Canadian destroyer on the ramp that he did. I'm like, it's something that I expected because he does it in AEW. So I was just waiting for that moment it would happen, and then it did happen. But I thought for a couple moments that maybe he would take the championship, being that this is the match, kind of presenting that partnership between TNA and AAA now. So that's what I thought at first, but still, either way, I like how they used Sabin and Kushida in the ring with El Hijo del Vikingo outside of it, so it wouldn't affect them in the end, and it will be Sabin and Kushida for the end here for Sabin to retain the championship. Still incredible match. I was just expecting also at the end, which obviously I'm not gonna really talk about the match right now, but I was expecting for Sabin to come in and like Jose gave me the idea of him coming up and saying like, I want to cash in option, seeing him and Shelley go against each other for the championship later on. So that's what I was thinking when he won this. I was like, whoa, we're one step closer to this happening, but it didn't.
Not quite, not exactly. No, as we say,
No.
good morning to Barry Monkey joining us from a good 6 hour difference in time. But thank you for joining us here on the
We're
TNA
talking
post
TNA
show.
though.
We are talking TNA, and Bobby Stats here telling us that Nick Nemeth is wrestling at TNA Snake Eyes tomorrow against Zachary Wentz. An interesting move right there as well too. We'll talk about Mr. Nemeth here shortly. Brian saying he is a smaller guy that you definitely think could defeat giants because of his moves, unlike Alex Shelley. Oh, and the gloves come off from Brian here tonight. Not an Alex Shelley fan, are you? Because I mean, I felt the opposite in that match. We'll talk soon, my friend. We're getting there. But yes, Chris Sabin managing to keep that belt. And then we move on from there to the match that really drew my attention in the first place, because not only am I a Josh Alexander fan, I am definitely an Alex Hammerstone fan, and giving Alex Hammerstone a brand new playground with fresh new blood and everything that he needed, because, again, MLW, the taps run a little bit dry for Alexander's Hammerstone's run. This was a great move for him, a brilliant move, in fact. What a match. These two hit hard, and they hit often, and they beat the living hell out of each other. Hammerstone, once again, proving like his selling is so good at times. Like, he would sell that leg beautifully throughout this entire matchup. His finishing maneuver, the Nightmare Pendulum, I'm so glad that they chose to not have Alexander kick out of it. That it actually sold the idea that Hammerstone's leg was so hurt he couldn't quite get to the pin in time, allowing Alexander that time to roll outside the ring. Brilliant touch within this thing. It was those subtle nuances throughout this entire match that drew me in as a wrestling fan more and more. Excellent work. Glad to see a fresh match for Hammerstone. Awesome. Just awesome. I love this thing. And going over to you. What are your thoughts on this one?
I figured this is your boy, so I know you're gonna talk so positively about him,
Your
but
boy
still,
Hammer.
he sold me. He sold me tonight. I feel like what I like about this. It just reminds me what I was mentioning with El Hijo de Vikingo. Like, for the people that don't like only watch AEW, this is people haven't seen him, but the people that are watching out TNA and see him for the first time, you're gonna keep following him after what his performance tonight. And this is how I feel about Hammerstone for the people that didn't get to watch him in MLW. Now in TNA, watching him tonight, he's definitely going to have a bigger following after tonight, because that was an
Oh, yeah.
incredible performance for him. And what I liked about him, and not only that spot that you mentioned with his finisher, but coming off the way he joisted Josh to the back and the way Josh landed, I was like, holy moly, is he ever going to get up from this? Like, either one of them, because it looked like it hurt for both of them. Um, But yeah, this, and not only that, but that the Death Valley driver on the apron, it looked incredible the way he did it too. I was just thinking that maybe at the end, I Josh wins the match, but I was expecting Josh to come up and kind of have Scott D'Amore bring the contract, they have it signed on Josh's back and shake hands with him at the end. So I was expecting that to be one of the signings tonight. But still, we have hope. You never know by the week if they, by the weekend they decide to announce it. But I feel like this is the way of like being like, based on your performance, I feel you definitely earned it tonight, because that was an incredible performance. And I seen so many people talk so positive about him on my timeline that I'm very happy for him that he was able to be on this card tonight. You know, what kind of open challenge to get it answered by Josh Alexander of all people?
Oh, it was fantastic. And again, like I'm an Alexander, like I'm a Josh Alexander fan, but when I heard this thing was happening, I had to tune in, whether Hammerstone signs or not. I was like, finally, the world is going to get to start waking up to one of the secrets that MLW has been holding on to for years. Hammerstone, he's solid on a microphone. He's got a great physique, clearly. I mean, the guy's muscles have muscles. And he can wrestle on top of it. He can wrestle a big guy match. He can wrestle with smaller guys and make it look good too. So there's a lot of talent in there. As Bobby mentioning that he liked this match between Alex Hammerstone and Josh Alexander, very much so. And to sign Alex Hammerstone to TNA, I think that they should make that move for sure. Brian saying, first time seeing Josh Alexander. He seems like he loved him some Bret Hart. Yes, I believe he was a Bret Hart fan. He's a Canadian boy, aren't we all? And will the Nightmare Pendulum ever finish an opponent again? Favorite match of the night. Yeah, again, it didn't finish the match, but I'm glad again that it's such a protected move, or it was so protected in MLW that nobody really kicked out of it. I believe other than Richard Holiday was the only one to sneak away from a Nightmare Pendulum. And I'm talking like even some big boys like Cruel, aka Mods Kruger, and King Huertas and stuff that got picked up into that maneuver and defeated by Hammerstone. So just awesome intensity through this one. Barry saying it was a big crap until PCO brought the show to life. Then it could. Oh man, Barry, what was in your cup of tea tonight, sir? I have to disagree with you. I think you've been putting something a little extra in that tea throughout the night if you thought PCO was the one that brought this to life. Just saying.
I mean, PCO came back to life. I mean, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was some sort of resurrection there.
Yeah.
All right. Now we got Bobby laughing, so we know we've had a successful show. If Bobby's laughing, we've been successful. Moving on from there, the TNA tag team titles were on the line. Is a fatal four-way or a four-way dance? I'm not sure how they test those. 4 teams anyway. That's how it was. We got ABC taking on the Rascalz, taking on the Grizzled Young Vets, taking on the team of Mike Bailey and replacement partner the Laredo Kid. And I remember watching the Laredo Kid in MLW for a while during his time there. Liked the Laredo Kid quite a lot. Again, this one was probably outside the PCO one of my lead, well, maybe the main event, but one of my lesser favorites on the card. But here's what it did do, and I found this after watching this one, is that it broke up that singles match of Hammerstone and Josh Alexander, and then having the knockouts singles match, and then of course having to have a main event that also features a singles match. So it breaks up that monotony by having something different on the card, and it was high energy. The fans loved the hell out of this matchup. They were all for it. It was high paced, high speed, all in on this thing from every single one of these guys. So it was very interesting. Not necessarily my cup of tea per se, but I could see the placement of it, and everybody did their job very excellently throughout this match.
Yeah, this was one of those, like, the action was packed. Like, I can't even keep up with all the teams and everything that they did, but I feel like it was a good showcase for GYV as well. And I feel like they did incredible with this roster here. So let's see what happens with them later on. But there was a moment, I know that we had a scary moment in the match with Ace Austin missed the ropes and he had to go back and do it. So that definitely kind of broke me off to like how I felt. I was like, oh my God, please, I hope you're okay. But even just the breaking up the pins to like back and forth with each other, the part that like they kept tagging in because they didn't want that person to win the match and they wanted to win it for themselves. I really thought at one point that Speedball had it, but I think it's the Rascalz that broke up the pin there as well. So that was just holy crap, incredible to see as well. But like I thought, ABC retained at the end. Ew, raid.
I think that's on your side of things, actually.
No, I was gonna say, don't look at me. I don't have anything yet.
No, you sure? Because I could be wrong.
No.
We got a raid somewhere anyway, but thank you for the raid. Wherever the raid is coming from, we do appreciate it. Coming in with a lot of you. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. But yeah, we got everybody's up in the house here. Garrett friends over to Get the Tables.
It's Get the Tables. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Get the Tables, for making this raid happen. A lot of love coming your way, Astrid, as I'm losing control of all the amount of great names that we got coming up here in the chat tonight, and even going back to our friends. I think Brian's going to take the heat. Now that we got more people in here, Brian, I'm going to throw your comment up there so people can get at you for calling Speedball garbage if you want to go that direction, my man. Barry
Disagree.
Saying, yeah, this tag match was my match of the night. The Grizzled Young Vets really showed how good they are. Barry's being positive. Holy shit, I'm impressed. There we go. There we go. But thank you to all the new friends up in the house. We appreciate you.
Holy moly.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. Awesome to have here tonight. Yeah, Barry.
Yeah, we disagree with Brian on that one. We love Speedball.
Brian,
we love Speedball in both of our households.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm like, I love Speedball, and I felt bad at that. Trent 7 couldn't make it. I know there was a lot of snowstorms. A lot of people were having issues going to the show, so I was wondering how it'll affect the attendance for the show. But Trent 7 was the only one that couldn't make it. Either way, him and Laredo Kid did very well together, so I was excited for the match in itself, and I really enjoyed it. Again, I really wasn't thinking anybody else was going to win this. Maybe the Rascalz, but I really had more faith than ABC was. We'll keep it. Thank you, Get the Tables. We disagree with Brian. We love Speedball in our households, to put it like that. I can't point at ours at the same time.
Sorry to throw you under the bus here tonight, Mr. Brian, but you said it, and now you got to take it. You got to take it back from the group that's here, that's teaming up on you, sir.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hey, hold on. We played innocent. We didn't say anything poor about the Speedball Mike Bailey, because that just wouldn't happen. I mean, I'm a full-blooded Canadian. We don't talk poorly about our own here in Canada, for sure. And I know that there's love all around the world for Speedball Mike Bailey as well, too. So all love on this side of the table. It's Brian Carter over on the YouTube side here for our local establishment. He's defending his assessment. I mean, you can all do what you want with it. If you want to go at Brian, that's
Brian, I'll suggest something. Go watch Speedball versus Josh, I believe it was. The 1 hour match they had, I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken. It's on Impact's YouTube channel for free. It's a whole hour match. So sit down with your popcorn, enjoy it, drink everything. You will enjoy the match, and you will change your opinion on this. I trust me on that. Just that match alone.
You bet. And we got one here. Oh shit, I follow our local establishment's account. Were you guys the ones that do the Marvel Talk? Or if I am mistaken. You are not mistaken. OLE does feature Marvel Talk. That is featuring Ed Fries, the tag team partner of Astrid, taking over on Tuesday nights, along with his good friend Andre C. They do Marvel Talk, and sometime later this week, they're going to be having episodes coming out covering Echo. So stay tuned for that right on our local establishment's channel. But yes, Astrid, I want you to get us into the very next match that came about. This is what I thought this was the main event. I'd forgotten all about Moose and Shelley and stuff. I was so glued to this matchup that I kind of lost track that there was another match. But please get us into this one.
Can I just say, this was my main event. In my mind, this is the main event. It will keep being the main event. I feel like I would have been happier with this one being the main event, to be honest. But either way, this is Trinity versus Jordynne Grace for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. What can I say? These two, such amazing chemistry. I love how hard hitting they were, from their strikes. Even from like that, Jordynne did a muscle buster on Trinity, and I didn't know what to think after that. And there was a point that Trinity did her submission, the Starstruck to Jordynne, but Jordynne reversed it there. So she also went for the rear view, like one after the other one. It didn't work out there either. But Grace was able to try to fight off the Starstruck as she could. She hit her Juggernaut driver to now be the TNA Knockouts World Champion. Seeing the video after the match, I'm very emotional because Trinity / Naomi was waving to the crowd goodbye. So I feel like I'm definitely going to see maybe somebody at the Rumble, maybe in a couple of weeks. And I'm just a mess because I just gotta say though, and this is like I'll clip this for later because I love Trin from the beginning. I one of like her early days in WWE. You know, from her NXT season 3 when it was a game show. I was watching it back then. Yes, so for me, I what I love about her and Mercedes is like they left the company they have been in for so long, and to be in a new company, to bet on yourself, to come here, win that Knockouts World Championship, be an incredible champion, face so many incredible people in TNA slash Impact. It was just incredible. She had an incredible run as champion, and I can say is that she did great. I am very happy for her because she was able to showcase herself in a different way. If this is the end, that was an incredible run and impact. It's nice to see her taking a chance on herself, facing other people that she hadn't faced before, doing this kind of dream matches that we never thought would happen because she was in WWE. Yeah, I it was bittersweet for me because I'm happy for Jordynne being champion, but I also love Trinity as champion. I didn't want to lose that, but either way, I'm happy for Trinity and her run. And congratulations to Jordynne on being champion now because that's how she starts the year. So being champion now too.
You bet. Richie Vargas, thanks for stopping by. Sitting cold on his side of the woods. He's going to bed under the blanket, try to warm up. I know what you're feeling like there, my friend. Of course, I'm in Saskatchewan, Canada, and it's a bombing like minus 35 Celsius right now with wind chills, making it even chillier. So stay warm, my friend. Thank you for stopping by the stream here tonight as my cat is trying to demolish my setup here. Bad kitty, go to sleep. All right, so back on track. Bobby mentioned that he thought that Zeta Steel was going to show up on TNA tonight.
Oh.
That would have been an interesting get for them, but another big loss for MLW that would have been already. Ray saying if you look at the second half of the men's tag match, they started using the. Oh, this goes back to this one. Okay, so Barry saying Austin slipped on the top rope. Laredo Kid did. One of them in the women's match, title match, did. Alex Shelley did. Top rope was too slack. If you look when Havoc and Rosemary leaned in, dropped below the bell rope, sometimes it happens. I don't know if there was any particular reason why it occurred. I know that sometimes those ropes can get a little bit slack throughout the night, and if you don't tighten them up, sometimes if they're too tight, it can cause problems too. So it's hard to say what went wrong in that sense, but nobody got seriously injured or injured to our knowledge. So that is your first main key, is making sure that everybody gets out safely. And Brian saying, I found all the women's matches on TNA were really strong. There we go. I agree.
See, now something we can agree on.
Yeah. Brian, you have redeemed yourself.
Thank you.
And you are correct. TNA knows how to do women's wrestling right, for sure. So, and this was no exception. Both these two did awesome work. And again, like you said, at the end, you kind of felt like that was it for Trinity. She's waving goodbye. She's heading elsewhere. Could it be the Royal Rumble? It's right around the corner. I know that you'd be very excited for that. Maybe you'll bump in. You'll get to rub elbows with Trinity, do a couple of interviews. Who knows? It could happen. But yes, excellent work. Of course, Jordynne Grace is phenomenal in the ring. Has got the look of a champion as well, too. You know that she's going to carry it well. At the same time, she might have some interesting new competition in the form of a perfume brand. In the form of the former Dana Brooke, we know Ed's favorite pro wrestler of all time. Ash by Excellence was at ringside to keep a very close eye on this one.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I like how they brought her in a couple matches in. They just showed her hair and her arriving in this expensive car. What made me laugh was like I went on Twitter around that time because I was trying to see who it was, and I was just between her and Camille, but that hair didn't picture like Camille to me. And then somebody went on her Instagram and found the same shoes that she was wearing in that promo her Instagram and automatically knew it was her. I love the IWC. Look at this incredible like investigative. I don't want to say journalism, but investigative that investigation that we have. That was such incredible. It's like, look, they're the same shoes that she has on for that. So it has to be Dana Brooke. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe this. But like I mentioned earlier, it's nice because we officially ended up having Brookside getting signed. It looks like maybe Dana Brooke got signed. She hasn't had like anything on social media announced. Nick Nemeth also showing up at the end. 3 people so far, so that's incredible for them.
Yeah, it was a big night. A lot of returns as well too. As Bobby asking, who's going to be the first challenger to Jordynne Grace? Do you feel?
I feel like it's probably gonna start building up to Giselle Shaw. She already won the Ultimate X match, so why waste any time?
That's right. Yeah, get that out of the way before you start bringing in more names and start throwing other
Yeah.
people in the picture. But yeah, still happy for Giselle, and that is a match I'd definitely be down to see as well too. Is Giselle and Jordynne Grace. So I'm gonna go along with that. Of course, we got to get Barry's opinion here because just we know this is going to be just devilish. Don't worry, Dana Brooke is there to save the women's division. Oh God, no, please no, not her, anyone but her. She's worse than Alisha Edwards, according to them. And we got Dalla as well. I think TNA will push him. Well, yeah, he had a spot on the night. There was a very bad audio clipped piece of footage earlier in the night with a promo from him. I don't know about anyone. Like, I don't know if it was the actual taping of it or if it was just the feed I had, but honestly, on Fight TV, like it sounded like it had been recorded on a bad microphone in a weird room kind of thing. It was
Yeah,
strange.
I know. Yeah, I know he premiered. I think it was a song, and then he got interrupted by Joe Henry, who had a song in response to him. So if you haven't checked it out, go check that out on Twitter because it was worth watching it. That's the only way I was able to watch it because it was I couldn't watch in the countdown like we expected to.
You might be able to answer this better. Brian asking who the blonde was with the dude in the bow tie.
Is that Dana? I'm guessing.
I'm assuming so. I think
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, that at ringside there, Brian. I'm assuming that would be former WWE's Dana Brooke, now Ash by Excellence, because that's just I don't know. That's such a name, quite the name. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. We'll see how she does when she gets there again. There's qualities that she has that work in professional wrestling, and she has the name. That's the thing. And TNA needs a rebuilding with some names and stuff like that. And call a spade a spade. She is a name coming out of working for the WWE, and she will bring eyes to the prize, and that's what is going to happen. People are talking, and that's the first key to winning right there is have the people talk. It wouldn't be TNA Impact without audio or visual issues. It's traditional. It even happened on Fight TV's version of the pre-show. We lost the feed entirely there, and all that was a pre-tape from something that was on YouTube from a few days earlier. So yeah, that was what we thought was the main event, and then all of a sudden they're like, "We have one more match for you, the TNA World Championship," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that one." I forgot all about it because everybody's favorite wrestler Moose is in the house. I'm saying again, I'll say it now. There's nothing wrong with Moose, but there's nothing really right with Moose at the same time. He's kind of that in between. He's not bad like a Tyrus, but he's not exactly like my epitome of what their world champion should be. On the other hand, I personally like Alex Shelley, despite I know Ed seems to have a problem with Alex Shelley and the world championship picture. I personally like Alex Shelley, and I think that there was a lot more that could have been done with his title run. I don't know that this was necessarily the right decision, but this match I felt kind of like it sucked some of the energy out just a little bit. As hard as they tried, and they did try, there was nothing completely garbage about it, but it just felt a step off from what we had just seen in all the other matches. And then that changed with the afterthought. When Nick Nemeth showed up, that energy just went through the damn roof, blew the roof off that place incredibly. And then when he's in the audience celebrating with fans and ripping shirts off, and TNA, fantastic. So despite anything that happened in that main event, it all became about that finishing moment, and that finishing moment was an A+ to make an A+ card for me. I loved this card, and despite the couple of hiccups it had, awesome, personally.
Yeah, this one I expected more because I feel like I wasn't hooked on it like I was with the rest of the card, aside from obviously that PCO tag match. But it was fun to watch, and this one it felt like Alex was working almost like a heel because he was focusing so much on Moose's arm. And just reminded me, it's like, why are you focusing so much on that part when usually the heel does that? So we see a lot of the matches like Moose is struggling with the arm, trying to do what he can with basically one arm. And then more towards the end, they have D'Angelo Williams that gets closer up. Alex gets distracted by him. And then here comes Sabin and Kushida. And then we have the system. So Eddie Edwards is coming in with Brian Myers as well. So they're having this bit distraction kind of moment there. Sabin and Kushida take care of the system as they take him off the stage. But still, Alex is just like distracted by D'Angelo. and Moose takes that moment to win the match. I think the parts that really like hit for me, but it was like I like the way he did the headbutt towards the end, like the Moose hit it, but then he also stopped his leg, and I could see it happening at the same time, so it bothered me that he didn't do it as quickly as he should have. Still, it's like I thought it was a 2 because of the way that I actually reacted. He kind of like sat back, like stood there while he was sitting down, and I thought maybe that it was a 2, and then I hear the bell, and then I hear the reaction from the crowd. I was like, oh, so it was a 3, and the music didn't come up right away, so that's what made me doubt it too. So it was like it took me a moment to realize that he actually had won. I really thought that Alice was gonna be like, oh, there was a 2, but it wasn't. So yeah, I feel like the moment that made like the whole main event for me, like you said, was Nick arriving. We had the music come up, but they don't show us the name on the music until like the end when the name already shows up. Moose is looking at the screen, so Nick comes up behind him, attacks him, and I just love that moment so much. I was expecting it and hoping he was the big signing, so I was very happy that he's the one that ended the show. But I'm hoping he's officially signed. Obviously, he ripped off his shirt to to show us a TNA shirt. But I like how he's arriving there and already going to that main event scene, and just like when things like that happen, when they kind of jump into the division right away, it makes you feel like they're not going to be there for too long. It just kind of like, let's give us a couple matches and then he's done. So I'm hoping I'm wrong when it comes to that part, but still, the review having Nick being a part of this, as they call him, the most wanted man, Nick Nemeth. I love that. I've been loving Dolph Ziggler, so I was just disappointed like everybody else that when he got released. But it's just like I like that he's having this moment to like kind of like that world tour, the way Mustafa Ali is going around as well, having his moments, showing off the name that he is. And I'm really happy for him that he's able to do this and have the spotlight here tonight to end the show, because everybody's going to be talking about him at this point, not the main event. But yeah, very happy for him.
Yeah, this is somebody who brings a lot of eyes to the prize. This is a huge get for TNA Wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's going to get to the chat here again. Bobby, I like Alec Shelley again. Yeah, I do too. And again, a tease between Alex Shelley and Nick Nemeth would be an excellent move. Brian throwing more shade. He says Alex Shelley does not seem to have the charisma, size, or skill to carry the world title, but he's still better than Speedball.
Come on,
and you're
Brian.
making me say these things, Brian. I know I'm not thinking them or feeling them, but you're making me say them, and it hurts just as much. Moose is odd. He's slow, sluggish, 95% of a match, and then all of a sudden he's up the ropes like a cruiserweight, moving at a ridiculous speed. Yeah. And Brian saying, I'm from Michigan, so if I don't like Shelley, it has to be legit. You Michiganders have an odd way about you. You even have fandom for El Asesino, so I mean that says something about you. It's great to see Nick Nemeth in TNA, and I couldn't agree more, because TNA needed a big signing. They said they had a big signing, and they delivered. That's, I mean, Nick Nemeth is a huge get. And we know with the connection recently with New Japan Pro Wrestling and them throwing a show too, you had to speculate the possibility of it happening too, and it did happen. They delivered on it, and thank goodness, because you took what was a very strong card that kind of was dwindling in that main event slightly and just put the icing on the cake to make sure that everybody remembers this. This will be one of those cards at the end of the year that people are looking back on fondly as one of the better shows that they watched in pro wrestling this year.
Yeah, I feel like it was a great way to end it. People are going to end up talking about Nick arriving more than anything right now. So I'm just very happy that this is the moment how they end the show.
Yeah. And Barry on the positive side saying, thank God Nemeth turned up. While it was a decent show, it was TNA's one big chance. Wrestling World is watching, and they had done nothing special. Needed something. Nemeth was it, and he sure was. Bobby saying they should bring in Becca. I agree. Everybody should bring in Becca. Becca's phenomenal. We know that, Bobby. And here I was thinking that Hammerstone was their big signing. Was that a one-time deal for him? We don't know with Hammerstone just yet. He could be. I hope not, because I think there's a lot of fresh matches there in TNA for him. I think that Hammerstone, again, like Nick Nemeth, would benefit from signing there, but being in a lucrative contract where they can travel and still do stuff with other promotions that are, coinciding with TNA. And I know TNA allows that sort of freedom for these wrestlers. So I think that would be great for both parties, because I think what a lot of these guys need is to get that world travel experience at this point and work for a variety of different decent sized companies where they will be a big player in those companies. That's my thoughts on it anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree. TNA is one of those companies that is very lenient when it comes to that. So, like you said, we had like the man show up in New Japan first, and now in TNA. So it's obviously one of those companies that's willing to wait for them, especially when they have like an indie sort of calendar. So why not? Give them that kind of deal that they can do something on the side and still be in TNA. And I feel like it will bring more eyes to their product in the end.
Jeez, my throat's getting a little dry there, but as I try to clear my throat, we're going to come back and kind of wrap things up a little bit. But before we do, we got a bit of a calendar play for you for some of the shows that we've got coming up this week from our local establishment. Stay tuned with us for just one more.
You got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You got me hypnotized. Whoa. I can see, I can hear, going crazy by the light. It's got me hypnotized. You got me hypnotized. Can get you out of my hand again.
There we have it. That's what we got coming up for you on our local establishment this week. A lot of great things from a lot of wonderful people here producing great shows throughout the entire week. Bobby saying, if Mustafa Ali was to come to TNA, who would you like to see him wrestle against? I think that there is many, many great options within the TNA ranks. It depends where you want to stick him. I personally would try him out in the X Division kind of thing. I'd like to see what Mustafa Ali would bring to an X Division matchup or against an X Division champion of sorts. That would be my goal with Mustafa Ali, at least in the interim at the beginning, because I think TNA is currently in a stage of really pushing forward with some really solid people at the top of the card already.
I know there's a lot of choices, but my first two, Josh Alexander, Speedball.
Yeah. Brian's gonna love you for saying that one. I know that. Looks like Top Dollar signed, which is okay. I hope Dana Brooke hasn't. Would like to see the Grizzled young vets stay and Hammerstone. So a lot of love for your boy Hammer here tonight. I'd like to see Mustafa Ali versus Josh Alexander and Chris Sabin. Both would be great matchups. Ali versus Sabin would be great. Bobby getting the stamp of approval from Barry on that booking right there. Brian, I was happy and surprised to see so few hardcore matches. MLW seems to be leaning hard on that, too hard on that these days. And I agree with you, Brian. This was great because there wasn't a lot of like hardcore stuff or spots that were unnecessary throughout this entire night. This felt like a wrestling card and it stuck to being a wrestling card. And yeah, over what we saw last Saturday, Brian, 100%, this is head over heels way better. And, as an MLW fan, I got to admit, when they've had their asses kicked, and they got their asses kicked by TNA's Hard to Kill tonight, which has easily been, hands down, the best card of 2024 thus far. So your final thoughts on it, Astrid?
Yeah, overall, great way to really start the year for TNA. I'm excited. I'm hoping I can go to the events they have here in Orlando next week. If I do, obviously, I will definitely say a little bit about it. Without really spoiling much, to be honest, but still, this is the start. It just makes me excited for those tapings in Orlando. So I'm very excited for that now.
Barry saying hardcore matches should be occasional and special. He agrees. I do too. You have my sentiments on that one. But it's time to kind of get to the end of the night, get to the end of the show. So we're just going to throw these little things we call banners up there. Right there, that's mine. You can follow me, Bobby Munson, at Real Bobby Munson, at Video Bros SK. You can find me on YouTube, Prairie Pro Wrestling. I want to have the commentary team bringing you matches every single Saturday. You'll find me tomorrow on Point of View, where I believe Ed Fries is going to be hopping on with me. Talk a little bit about his experience over at Chaotic Wrestling from Friday night. So tune into that 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And then again, this Thursday night with my partner in crime, Papa Spokes, as we bring you Ring Respect Radio. Our pub trivia night returns with WTF Do We Know About Wrestling Part 7. So looking forward to that as we now bring up, hold on here, just click a couple buttons to play, Bobby. There we go. Now it's Astrid's turn. Astrid, where can the wonderful people find you?
You can find me again on Tuesday doing Taking Over with Ed. We'll be talking about NXT. We're on the lead here too. I believe it's Vengeance Day, if I'm not mistaken. I keep thinking of the Rumble because it's before it. But yeah, we have that coming up. If you Thank you for everybody from the raid. If you follow me on Twitch, thank you. If anything, you can also go subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where I have everything else. I will be going to the Rumble pretty soon. So I'm really excited to be giving a little bit more content on my YouTube channel. So subscribe if you haven't yet and click on that bell to be notified when I upload or when I'm live. And everything else as it is here, Twitter and Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro, and the threads and Instagram is Astrid Pizarro 20. And if you haven't checked, you can go on my Twitter and there are my highlights and you can see most of my writing for Body Slam. Hopefully we're coming soon, but I'm mostly focusing on the Rumble right now. Everything else taking a backseat until that happens. And then hopefully we'll have Lady Such Showcase before I go for the Rumble as well.
Wonderful. We have sent the raid out over on the side of things for our local establishment. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your night. Everybody take care, and we will see you very soon. Bye.